This is the Prophetic Archive, Metamorphosis, Part 16. Fear is synonymous with my nature. Write it down. Fear is synonymous with my nature. Imagine, we are human beings that operate in the natural world, and suddenly we start learning about the prophetic dial, something that is not seen. Do you think that's easy? To this natural nature? To put on something called mystery? Do you think that's easy? Teach this nature, the so-called mystery, prophetic dial, handle that which is not seen, hidden wisdom, and your flesh will be like, whoa, what is going on? And your concupiscence will be like, what? What are you doing? If for you to get here and that concupiscence of yours that you have to fight so much and went through all kinds of trouble, you know what you had to go through. Do you think human nature is easy? Do you think it's easy? You have a nature, and suddenly you with some weird stuff, and you're like, what the hell is this? This sister, she just came from Catholic Church. She was a girl who read the rosary backwards and left. She did the rosary. And now that little girl who came with all that baggage and all that sorcery, now to see herself managing the spiritual world and this revolution that forms and having to submit, do you think all of that is easy? What would she feel? How does she feel when she sees that revolution? What do you think she's suffering from when she has that battle? When she has seen the monster that is inside of her with that little too goody two shoe face. And now what? Oh, and Pastor, I play that role of Virgin Mary in a play, you know. She played the role of the Virgin Mary in a play. Gosh, what a diabolical Virgin Mary that was. But that girl today, who no longer comes from the ecclesiastical, religious, and liturgical show, she is now learning to manage the spiritual world. And she's assuming, and I'm her pastor, and she's taking on. And that revolution that she's living in with what the devil whispers to her all the time, and with that devil that she hid so well under being that goody two-shoe face, that is manifested against her now. How do you think she feels now? What do you think she feels now? She feels fear. Yes. And that is what metamorphosis is all about. But how is that reflected? How is it? Do you know what I suffer the most? And I want to be honest with you. What gives me the most on this journey is fear. Fear is what has been most reflected in me in the midst of knowledge. Of course, I know I just told you that fear is not bad. And you might say, this pastor wants to drive us crazy. But I'm going to teach you biblically what it's all about. If you go to Matthew chapter 10, 26, you can see that fear is correct. The word says on Matthew 10, 26, do not be afraid, for there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, nor hid that it will not be known. What I say to you in darkness, say it in the light. And what you hear in your ear, proclaim it from the rooftop. In other words, you have to do things right because everything is going to manifest. What you sow, you will reap. Let's continue reading. And do not fear those who kill the body, but the soul cannot kill. Rather, fear him who can destroy soul and body in hell. Do you know the only one that the devil is afraid of? Yes. The devil is scared just like you of that one. Do you know that one that he's afraid of? God. Do you know the person you should be afraid of? God. Do you know what the problem is with us? That we have a context where we are afraid of everyone except God. Oof. Write it down. I have been afraid of everyone, of the crisis, of scarcity, of the devil, of the world, of death. of everyone you have been afraid of. Shame, of your testimony falling on the floor, of me falling into debt, of me going south in a bad way. You have been afraid of the whole world. And I'm going to tell you something, you trickster, you liar, you manipulator, you deceitful. The only one you have to fear is God, but you have never feared him. If we learn to fear God, then we're going to be able to face the metamorphosis. Because if you knew that fear, that is a result of my nature, because let me tell you, fear simply has to do with, listen to this, let's repeat it. Fear is the reflection of the insecurity of what I don't know. When I know, am I afraid? So why should we be afraid of God? Because you don't know everything about God. But do you know everything about the devil? The pastor just told you what's going to happen to the devil by telling you that he and you, the two of you, are under rules. The devil is going to be condemned for being fresh because he was envious of you. He got into the law of the world, and there he was also subdued, and in the end, he will be condemned right there. Hello? The only one we have to be afraid of is our Father. He is the only one we have to fear. That is why fear is a reflection of dependence. I depend is not simply, I depend on my Father. It sounds nice. But when I talk about dependency, do you know why there are many who do not depend and do what they want? Because they don't fear anyone. Do you understand that? Because if you fear God, you would depend on him. Because you would know that that is all you need. Do you know why I'm always afraid? Do you know why sometimes I get myself up 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and sit before the Father? Because I am so scared. But I thank God that I have somewhere to go, even me being scared. And I don't live like that man who under fear makes bad decisions. Why did bad decisions come? Because when you were afraid, you turned to do what you wanted to. But now, in the midst of my monsters, now because I'm assuming, now because I have faced my monsters, what am I going to do? Even if I feel fear, am I going to go back? Am I going to run? Am I going to run away? Or am I going to continue doing what I want, which is what I always wanted to do? Or am I going to fall back on my fear of depending on the only one I should fear? Hello? How many of you are understanding me? I am using manifestations of you so that you have the right decisions. How many understand? So when that attack comes, and when that manifestation comes, and when everything gets dark, then I'm going to depend on the only one I have to fear, because he is the only who is the owner of my life. And that in the end, if I don't acknowledge him today, if I don't put him in the first place today, if I don't value him, he's going to be the same one who's going to say, I don't know you. Depart from me, you wicked. If we didn't have fear of God here, if we don't appeal to say, wow, the only one who can take me away at the end of my life and decide for me is God, why then don't I want to assume it? Because there's a religious deception where they wanted to pour fear into us from the context of fear. Fear of the devil, fear of a situation. No, leave that fear. Because that fear means insecurity of not knowing. But the fear of the Lord is to be afraid of God, the only supreme one, where everything is subject to him. I serve the Father because I fear him. I serve the Father, listen to me. And that fear is what gives me benefits. Wait, what are you saying, Pastor? Yes, the fear of the Lord is the only fear that gives me benefits. What? Write it down. Don't be looking at me. That fear is the only one that gives me benefits. Other fears make your life miserable. Your life is a misfortune because you made bad decisions when you were afraid. Write it down. Write it down so that you can break it. Remember that same God, that same Father who recognizes me, that same Father who truly confers secrets on me, that same Father who gives me wisdom, that same Father who sets me on high will be the same Father that, if I do not assume it now while I am living, He is the same one who will tell me, "Depart from me, you wicked." There are many who are mocking God, and there's a little game. And they think there's a little game. And there is a deception. You have to understand that the only one we have to fear is the Father. The only one. That is why I speak the way I speak. That is why I move the way I move. Because the only one I fear is Him. And when I see one of those monsters or one of those unmanageable situations in my life, I go to the only one I fear and I feel Him. Because I'm not afraid of anyone anymore. Look, when something scares me, I get out of it. And I go to the ultra fear. My Father. Do you understand? Does pornography have subdued you under fear? Go to the Father then. Say, "Father, this question is driving me crazy. What do I do?" That is how my son will speak before the Father. "Hey, Lord, I have this situation with my girlfriend. What do you think I should do, Lord? Do you think it's all right if I do this with her? Do you think it's okay?" Everyone should talk to their God as they wish. If you want to talk to Him kneeling down and with your butt up, that's fine. But that is up to you. What is the show? Do it as you please. If you want to talk to Him standing up, if you want to talk to Him while you're taking a shower, I don't care about your relationship with God. "Oh, Pastor, when I talk to God, I like to get next to a mango tree and I like to say, 'Lord, I want to talk to you.' Oh, no, Pastor, I'm romantic. I like to stand next to a candle with a flower and say, 'My dear Father, I want to talk to you today.'" Is that crazy? No, it's not. Each one does as they want and as they wish with the relationship they have with Father God. You can be corny, you can be serious, you can be dry, or you can be affectionate. Hello? What did I say? So, understand that there are many things that we cannot handle. I don't handle the animal of my husband, some say. I don't handle the savage of my woman, some say. I don't handle these snobby kids, Pastor, some say. I don't handle a situation of economic crisis. I just can't manage. There are many things we cannot handle. And what does that bring? Fear. Because remember that fear is the result of insecurity, of that I do not know. Now, that fear, which is what I don't know, does it has to subject me? Do I have to bow down to that fear? No. I have to bow down to the only one I have to fear, which is the Father I have. Is that understood? Let me tell you that what I'm explaining today is for you, for this ministry. Because many are going to say, "Oh no, I'm not afraid of God." And they're going to want to make a show of what they are learning today. Listen, don't make a show. This is internal to this ministry. This is for you. This is for you to handle a dimension of battle that is coming in. This is not so that you're now saying, "Oh, I'm only afraid of God in this life. The only one I fear is Jesus Christ." No, you don't have to pretend that you know things to other people. No, you go on. You let people believe what they want to believe, but you stay calm. You stay under the radar. Don't get into people's business. Do you understand? Because You know that you cannot teach these truths overnight. You have to be within this sphere of ministry. Even for me to talk about this with you, you have to be in the middle of war and processes. And if you understand well now, it's not because you're very smart either. No. Don't think that you're intelligent. No. Because that is not why. Don't be saying, oh, yes, Pastor, I get it now, because I already know. No. It's not because of that. It's because when you're in the midst of processes and conflicts, you understand what you're being taught. Any situation in your life, any manifestation that manifests in you, any manifestation that you see reflected in you of entities, of confrontation, of limitation, you have to go to the only one that you have to fear. God is for us in any area of our lives and in any situation. Write it down. That is why you have to give legal right and the first place to the only one who deserves respect. Respect and fear in everything in your life. Because if he took charge of your life by telling you that he even has control of the birds in the sky, then why don't you give him control of you, of your boyfriend, of your girlfriend, of your marriage, of your work, of your studies? Why not? He says, 2 sparrows are not sold for a quarter with everything, nor does one of them fall to the ground without your Father. For your hair is all numbered. Listen, if God has so much control over your life, then why don't you appeal to place trust in the slightest bit of your life? Do you know why? Because you don't fear God. You are afraid of the devil, of creation. As a matter of fact, you go and report to creation. You are subject to creation. Oh no, Pastor, I cannot connect with the prophetic dial because I have to take care of this matter and I have to travel here and I'm busy with this and I have to solve this with creation first. Big deal. You're a crazy fool. Do you think I'm going to allow creation to take away the flow of the prophetic dial in my life? The flow and connection of the kingdom? Because of the nonsense of creation? Because of the busyness of creation? Are you crazy? So, the word says 2 sparrows are not sold for a quarter, yet not one of them falls to the earth without your Father. For your hairs are all numbered. So do not be afraid. You are worth more than many little birds. Simply put, if God is focused on and is in control of the simplest thing, damn, don't you have more value than those things? In God's prophetic destiny, you are totally covered. God has totally everything in place. Everything that's going to happen with you. Write it down. In the prophetic destiny, God has everything squared in your life. Everything. He does not miss anything. And that's why you have to learn to first get that lie out of your life. Because everything you brought is a lie. Because that lie diverts you from the prophetic destiny where God has everything squared out. Don't you know that you're not fighting for that of God here? What you wanted was something. Do you remember? You wanted a problem solved. You wanted to get a job. You wanted your husband to be fixed. Oh, Pastor, if I just get a job, I'll be fine. Oh, no, Pastor, I'll be fine with, if you just get me a husband. Oh, no, Pastor, I'll be fine if you just get me like a good wife, Everyone wants something. And that's why everyone serves by measure, little by little. You know why? Because you don't believe that God is the owner of your life. You're a liar. You don't believe about that. You don't believe that. You give him permission little by little. Okay, God, you can have a little bit of this here, a little bit of this here. Maybe you can have this in my life. The fact that you have even had to learn how to give God a right, that's a lot. That says a lot. Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? You haven't said, oh, here, God, come to me. I'm open to you. Oh, gosh. Listen, I have a problem with erotic people. I have a problem with eroticism. Yesterday, I was in a conference and they said, oh, thank you, Lord, for confirming everything in the house, because you already confirmed everything that we have always said. How many believe that? How many believe that? Thank you for confirming everything, Lord. For confirming everything. You know what that means? Magic wand. Is you thinking, oh, this preacher came and changed the church in one day. Wow. But you know what? The interesting thing is that preacher hasn't changed his own church in 3 years. Listen, the only one you have to fear is the one who can take your life at the end of it. At the end, your soul can be sent to hell itself. So all fear, all anxiety has to be subjected to God, because no anxiety, no kind of sin, no kind of entity, no kind of demon has the right to lead me to do whatever it damn well please. The devil is a liar, and so are you. That trickery in you, seeking for 1,000 ways and excuses to be able to do what you want? Oh, well, Pastor, but it doesn't matter because, God is in the heavens and he is seeing our hearts. Oh, you mean that pigsty you have? Not the heart. Is that pigsty you have? God is in heaven watching my pigsty, not the heart. Listen, if I was not afraid, I would not depend. If I did not fear the Lord, I would not depend. That is why when man doesn't recognize his weakness, that's where he destroys himself. Write it down. When man does not acknowledge his weakness, he destroys himself. Don't you know that is what is most powerful about you is your weakness? But Pastor went crazy today. Do you know what you're afraid of? Oh, that I am weak, Pastor. But that's exactly what we're looking for. Weak people. I have let you to be broken so that you get weak. But you know what? You are so strong that you stand up and you say, I am strong. Boom. Oh, no. I am strong. Boom. And you fall again. I'm strong. Boom. And you fall again. Stop the show. Let yourself be killed. Say, I am weak. And that's it. Say it. I am weak. No. I have another scripture here, Pastor. No. I have this. Okay, fine. Move forward. Go ahead. Along the way, we'll get you fixed because there's a lot of strategies. This was just one, but we'll get to you. When man doesn't recognize his weakness is where he is destroyed. That's why you see the strife between couples. No, because you this and that. No, because it's you. No, because it's you. No, because it's you. But no one gives in. Who gives in? Nobody. But when a powerhouse prophetic wife or girlfriend shows up and she throws herself to the floor, right there she won. Do you remember my son, Eric, and my daughter, Diana? Do you remember their fight? No, because you bump into me. No, because it was you. No, because you bump into me. No, because it was you. No, because I'm not going to stay hit. And they just both slept like that. Like none of them were gonna stay hit. And they would wake up the next day like that, entangled, and just touching each other, like bumping into each other. I'm not going to stay hit. No, you are going to stay hit. I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but that's how you are. Who's like that? Thank you. Pastor, for me to get hit and just stay like that? Pastor, that woman of mine, to just let herself be hit and just stay like that? It's not happening. I thank God for the kingdom. Thanks to the kingdom, I learned to just stay hit. I learned to lose. And ever since I learned how to lose, I have won. I didn't want to lose, but I have learned to lose. And here's my wife, and she's saying, yeah, right. That's a lie. Okay, If that's a lie, why am I here then? Listen, if someone doesn't lose, if someone doesn't give in, no victory will happen. That is why when you learn the context of what fear is, and you fear the only one who deserves to be feared, then you will be able to conquer. What happens is that you are not fearful of God. You are fearful of creation, but not of the Creator. That is why your strength is very weak in the face of what confronts you, because that which confronts you is what has dominated you. Write it down. That which confronts you is nothing more than what has dominated you. That is why it is good to know, because what confronts you knows you more than you know yourself. Since you were a child, that has been preparing you. You were being marked, and you were being marked in a way for any misfortune to come all over you. Here, there are people that the devil had on his list to be prostitutes, others to be traffickers, others to be sorcerers, heavy sorcerers, palm readers, psychics. You know when people would say, oh, because you have a light. Who had a light? Who did people always tell that they had a light over them? Raise your hand. I know there's a lot of you here in this church. You want me to tell you what that light was? That same light of the devil to divert you from God's prophetic destiny. Because you were already being marked to be a witch, to be a palm reader, to learn how to throw a spell, to be a whore, to be a prostitute, to be part of the mafia. Do you understand me? That was the devil's vision for you. Because he comes, and he comes with entities, establishing things. Many with rights, others out of ignorance, and he took advantage of those who did not know, and he introduced those and associated many things to you. That's how the business was going to take place. So you were already creating that monster. That's why at one point Alex, under a certain knowledge, told me, Pastor, I was going to be the devil's advocate. Because one day he visualized that everything he was training and preparing himself for was diabolical. He was dealing with satanic monsters. He was going to be the devil's advocate because he was already visualizing himself as those lawyers, as that lawyer who argues, who doesn't lose a case, who doesn't lose one argument in court. He was visualizing himself as taking out the heaviest narcos, the heaviest mafia guys. He was going to take them out clear, sinless, like little angels, like little monks, like little nuns. He was just going to make them free. So the devil was preparing him, just like he was preparing us. I remember when I was little, and if you wanted to know how I was like, you just have to look at my son Joshua. Because my mother and my sisters, they tell me, wow, Joshua is just a copy of how you were when you were little. So they would tell me that the people, when I was little, in my neighborhood, they started calling me Mafia. Oh, look, here comes the Mafia. Look, here comes the Mafia. Because I knew so much for my age. So they began to establish that. Oh, here's the Mafia coming. And I was just three. But I would never hang out with kids, with little kids. I would hang out with just grown-ups at that time. And I was there with, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and I was just three. I never had any friends. And the ones that I had were all grown-up people. So to this day, even in the Evangelical Council, in the board, which has many council leaders, assemblies of God, Church of God, and I was part of the board, I was the young guy of the group. All of those guys were elders. And so they would come to me and they would ask me for this and that. They would ask me to pray over the food. And I would be like, okay, God bless you all. Thank you, Lord, for this food. I say this to say that the devil already has marks over us to divert us from the project of God. That is why you have faced the monsters that you have faced in the same line of what wanted to mark you. Write it down. Those monsters that you face are the same ones who had marked you. That's what you're facing. You are facing the same monsters that you had marked for a satanic purpose. That's why you're wrestling with that which was already meant for you from the devil. That's what you fight against in the metamorphosis. That's why you say, what the hell is this? It's because you're fighting there with a mark that was destined to take your life, to lead you to fatal things. And that today you fight against that and you're like, whoa, what is this? You are letting go of those satanic marks that told you this is what you're going to do. That's why many of us have to do things, assume positions that although might mean nothing, for you, they mean much. It's like when people want to drink wine because you drink wine. Oh, Pastor, but I want to drink wine. No, you're not going to drink wine. But you drink wine? Yes, but you're not going to drink wine. Have you ever drunk wine? No. Have you ever drunk wine? No. And why do you have to drink wine? Just because the pastor drinks wine and some of his circles are drinking wine, you don't have to drink wine, you fool. Why are you pretending to be something you're not? Quit that bad habit of being pretentious and just stay the way you are. But pastor, it's just a bit. No. How many are understanding me? There are people who, in order to pretend, they want to take some freedom. And they just want to pretend that they are something when they're not. So leave your trickery because it doesn't work that way. But pastor, I just want to be cool. Well, stop being cool with something that you're not. Everyone should know how to handle themselves. You are not here to play all the bases because there are things that do not suit you. Everything is lawful for me, but not everything is convenient. Remember that we are within a totally religious society, and you have to know how to contextualize in it. I went to a religious ministry yesterday, and I got involved. But do you understand why I am entering the religious system? First of all, because God has already given me the right to enter. But when I do, I go and I contextualize with them. They don't even know what my church is when they mention me, because I don't even mention the name of my church. I didn't even mention my name. The pastor that introduced me, he just said, this is Erickson. And that's how I introduced myself, as Erickson, and that's it. I didn't say who I am. I was not boastful or said, oh, I'm apostle this and apostle that. No. I was cool. I was under the radar. I was low key. I spoke to them with a lot of love, with a lot of humility. I spoke what the kingdom is in a simple, practical way. And I spoke to them about 2 points, and I told them clearly. And they said, wow, tremendous. I brought what I was talking about to the level of what they could understand in a normal language. I was not like, well, let me show them this now and how the relationship flow and this and that. No. Normal. If you knew that what you hate the most about you is what God will make shine the most about you, you will believe in it. Write it down. If you knew that what you have despised the most about yourself is what will shine the most in God, you will be cool. Many look down on themselves because some are methodical. Others look down on themselves because they're sanguine. Others look down on themselves because they talk too slow and kind of clumsy. Others because they talk too fast. Some look down on themselves because they don't have any charisma, and others because they have too much charisma. Some because they have no charisma at all. Listen to this. And others reject themselves because they have too much. But let me tell you, what you have despised the most about yourself That is what will shine the most about you. But Pastor, it's just that I don't know this. It's just that I'm like this. It's just that I'm like that. Look, God is going to make things shine. What you have despised the most about you, God is going to make shine that over you. And you're going to take advantage of that in the way that you cannot even imagine. How many understand? The devil took it upon himself as his main goal to get you to reject what God gave you. Do you understand? What he gave you, he gave it to you as part of his glory. The devil took care that you despise what God gave you as part of his glory. And he wants you to hate it. God didn't make a mistake with you. You can be one eye, you can be one arm, you can be disabled, but God was not wrong about you. God is going to make a star of you. He's going to make a star of you. But it is necessary that his glory has to be manifested through you. As a matter of fact, I hope you're the most rejected man or the most rejected woman, because those are the ones who are good. Those are the ones that he makes shine. Would you believe if I tell you that what I feared the most was being in front of an audience? What scared me the most was speaking on a microphone? What I was most afraid of was speaking publicly? I never imagined in my whole life being able to see myself in front of people, because I was depressed and afraid and fearful that I didn't know what that was going to be like. And that one day came here and I couldn't believe it. What's more, I hate it that because I was fearful of public speaking, I hated being in that position. So what scared me the most, what I was afraid the most, what I ran away from the most, what I paid the most so that I was not even close to that, because I paid to never be in the front. I paid for never being ahead. I spent so much time being backstage, and I work harder and try harder to always be behind the curtains. And you know what? That's exactly where God exposed me. How many are understanding me? So understand it well, that what you have killed yourself for not being, that's where God is going to make you be. How many understand me? As there are also many things that are intrinsic in you, of desires that you have never been able to fulfill, things that you have never achieved, and that is also part of the wealth that will be manifested one day. That is why the whole process of formation in your life comes to connect you under those desires of the inner spirit in you, which has caused you to live unsatisfied. That is why the dissatisfaction you have lived through all your life has been good. You know why? Because thanks to that dissatisfaction, you are connecting here. Write it down. The dissatisfaction that I have experienced in my life has been good, because thanks to it, I've been able to connect. Because if that dissatisfaction had not occurred in me, as it is occurring in you, you would have never been forced to connect to God. There are people who feel very satisfied. What's more, I'm going to tell you one thing. Everyone, you hear them say, oh no, I'm very satisfied with my life. I thank God for everything. I'm very happy. You want me to tell you something? When you hear that, get out and run away, because that is the devil speaking right there. Run, because the devil is right there. You know why? Because one of the qualities of a son is that he is always dissatisfied, because he knows that he has to depend more and more on the Father every day so that he can continue on. There are so many riches of the Father in our lives that this is not like me having a magic wand and saying, oh, I feel so good with my life and I'm so clear. No. This is a constant. This is sometimes, driven even in an agony stage. where you're like, no, 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 something is missing. I'm not calm. I'm in agony. I'm like, how are the young people doing? How is the youth ministry? How are they doing? Okay, let's do this. Let's close here. Let's do this gathering. Now let's do this project. Jorge, do this. We can plan this. Do this. Close here. Move here. Call me so and so. Blah 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 blah. Oh, Pastor, but we're fine. No, we're not. We're not well. We are not. We're not even close to home yet. Now, that dissatisfaction is equivalent to dependence. And that fear of the Lord comes under dependence. Oh, Pastor, it's just that I don't know. I just don't. Well, are you confused? Are you in agony? Do you feel something stuck in your stomach? Then it's important for you to know how to decompress. There's a very new age term that is used a lot where they say, well, let us channel our energy and our strength. Those are savvy folks. They speak so beautifully that they speak better than the evangelicals. And that's a lot to say. Why? Because they handle many principles that from the biblical context, you're like, wow, that's how it is. But when you hear and you go in and you see the fluidity, then you see that satanic twist in it. And they come up with, oh, you have to see Confucius and yoga and do this and that. And then they give you some signs of darkness and you're like, wow, what is this? But they bring you close to the principles and you hear them talking and you say, wow, wait a minute. That's how my pastor speaks in church. But when they tell you, well, that's why yoga is so good. It's so experimental. You're like, the devil is a liar. I rebuke you in Jesus' name, like some sisters say. What I'm trying to say is that my anxiety is good if I channel it depending on the Father. My fear is good if I channel it depending on the Father. Any kind of ailment is good if I channel it through the Father. Understand that everything you have fought like any ordinary human being, because you are going to experience the same as everybody out there. You will. The difference is how and where I channel it. Because I'm going to tell you one thing. To channel things as religion does, that it only does through liturgy, saying, oh, I want to rejoice with the Lord. And what will you do? Those who wanted to rejoice with the Lord, what did you do? You would go to church. You understand? And was going to church the only way for you to be able to channel a joy with God? Listen, I rejoice with my Father, period, wherever I am. I have a relationship. I don't have a moment with God. I always try to have a relationship and a dialogue with Him in an expression, in a conversation. I'm decompressing. I'm saying, Father, I have this, Lord. I am burdened, Holy Spirit, what is happening? Help me. That's it. That is normal dependence. I don't move in a crazy manner. When I move, in my case, which I happen to be a very accelerated person, I don't do it with an impulse because I know that everything is already square. Everything is already taken care of. When you see that I make a decision and I move here and I say so-and-so, move here, do this here, there, don't think I went crazy. No, I am more square than the devil. Did you hear? We are square. Now, those who are accustomed to moving under passion or impulse, oof. Who was it that did that? Who got provoked and went crazy? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for raising your hand. So those that walk under impulse do not depend on God. He who snaps and reacts, boom, does not depend on God. Doesn't. Attention, you don't depend on God. You are a devil. There is a lot of confusion. There's a lot of mixtures. There are people who want to hear this in a softer way, and no, we don't accept those people here. No, because that's a trickery. And there are people who want to grow with you on the threshold of a whole project like this, and you cannot allow it. Because those come to distort your future, and that is a lie. And they cannot. Because here, all that garbage that you have has to go. You know why? For two things. Number one, because it is manifesting itself and it is being seen very often. And how many of you feel bad about that? Do you know why? Because you say, wow, again, I did the same thing again. That's part of it, yes. But it's also good that you saw it. Now, today you learn who you should appeal to in that situation. How many understand? How many of you in the midst of agony have felt like getting yourself out of bed to stop, to sit for a moment? Of course, under this knowledge, you might think to say, well, let me go and pray. No, don't pray. Just get up to speak. How many of you have felt that, like getting out of bed and just talk to the Father? But how many of you don't even get up, even if you feel like it, and you just stay in bed? You see, I'm going to give you some advice. Next time, get up, take advantage. Because that uneasiness that you have is because there's an encounter that has to take place. That restlessness that you have is a weight of your spirit telling you, go see your Father now. Talk to him. Decompress. But sometimes that same spirit of laziness and rejection say, oh no, I'll just do it in the morning. Especially because Pastor says that, God is everywhere and not just when I seek after him late at night. Listen, you trickster. Because there are many of you who have taken this context to do what you want. So stop the show. You have me fed up. You're a trickster and you have me fed up. When man doesn't acknowledge his weakness, then he's going to destroy himself. The metamorphosis is so that you recognize what was there in you. Tell the person next to you, you will know about me. Listen, you have wrestled with me and with God here because you didn't know who you were. And those who are hiding so that they are not discovered are fooled. You're fooled because you're going to be exploited here. And I apostolically declare that you will exploit. You will exploit. You won't hide your lie anymore. It's going to explode and you're going to explode. Because the deception and the lie that you have not wanted to let go in this place will not prevail. Because you want to insist for your mask that you have to be approved when you know that the prophetic dial does not congratulate with anyone. And it is time for you to understand that we are at the level of such a metamorphosis and it is so strong. So listen, it is not easy for you and it is not easy for me either. But you know why it's not easy? Because I'm not easy. But you know why it's not easy? Because you are not easy and that's it. It's not because the devil isn't easy. What happens is that the metamorphosis, when it's on, the demons that operated in you, those who are your father, your masters, who are your God, because those are your God. Those are your God to whom you submit and you enslave yourself to them. And you have to make a decision and tell them, listen to me. I'm not afraid of you. I fear the only one who in the end is going to decide for my life, and that is God. But when there's no fear of God, we continue to do what we want. And that same metamorphosis occurs even with dreams. Do you know why? Because it is not in the interest of what operates in you to listen and pay attention. Your bosses, your master don't want you to. They say, no, put him to sleep because he's mine. Put him to sleep. And many fight with the battle of dreams because their bosses and their masters say, put him to sleep. He's not going to remember his dreams. He's mine.